Ninjago has been going for over 13 years and is one of LEGO's biggest themes, and a lot of that is due to the 45 minutes known as the Ninjago pilots. So, today I'm going to be talking about how these two episodes set the foundations for Ninjago to become one of my favorite TV shows of all time in two major ways: the characters and the world building. So, let's get right into it. So, of course, when we're talking about characters, we gotta talk about the original ninja. These four ninja, Kai, Cole, Jay, and Zane, are the protagonists of, well, pretty much the whole show. And for Cole, Jay, and Zane, these two episodes don't do much for their character. I mean, we get that Zane is the smart but weird ninja, Jay is the funny and innovative ninja, and Cole is the strong and caring ninja. Now, we don't get too much character development for these, but these episodes do set up a lot of the character work that we're going to see later on, with Zane as he struggles to fit in, Cole as he pushes his limits, and Jay as he struggles to make Nia his girlfriend. But all the attention has to be on Kai these episodes. Back in 2011, Kai was the face of Ninjago. He was all over the posters, the sets, the promotional material, and in my opinion, he is really well done in these two episodes. From the first scene that we see Kai, we get the sense that he's an impatient hothead, but he's determined and hardworking. The first challenge he faces is when the Skull can take Nia, and he wants to just go and rescue her immediately, but Master Wu, we'll get to him later, tells him that he isn't ready and he needs to level up his skills. Next up, we of course have the famous training sequence where we see how determined Kai is because he wants to rescue his sister. This becomes a slight problem later on though, as he isn't willing to work with the rest of the ninja, as he sees his goals as more important than the rest of the team. But throughout the season, we see Kai learn to work with the other three ninja as they get all the golden weapons, and it culminates towards the end where they all do the tornado of creation and rescue Wu. In general, these episodes did quite a bit of character work for these ninja and set up the foundations which season 1 would then build on. Next up, we gotta talk about the other two important characters, the two brothers Wu and Garmadon. Starting off with Wu, I kinda forgot how cool he was in these two episodes as he kinda gets sidelined later on, but in these two episodes, you really get the sense that he's a wise old man. Especially with his long before time had a name monologue, he really has a mystical sense to him, and we learn more about him as well in later seasons. Other than that, I mean, he's a really good fighter and an absolute fan favorite. Continuing with the other brother, Garmadon, I think he was a fantastic villain in these two episodes. He didn't show up a lot in these two episodes, but you really get a sense that he's one to watch out for. I mean, he's cunning and powerful, and we see how easily he kicks Kai around. He's also really smart, like, he plans out all of the events in the pilots, and he just has such a creepy and intimidating vibe to him. I also think that the designers absolutely nailed his design, and he looks really scary, too. Overall, back in 2011, Garmadon was a super compelling villain and one of the best characters in the show overall. There are also a few notable side characters that we gotta talk about, such as Nia and Samukai, and all of them did a great job of supporting the main protagonist and antagonist and building the story further. Overall, it's really hard to get invested in a show if you can't get invested in the characters, and the pilots did a great job of setting up the characters so that they can grow in the future. Great characters alone can make a story interesting, but if you want your show to go for a long time, you need to build a world that's interesting enough for the audience to come back for each new installment. In my opinion, the Ninjago pilots do this perfectly. The greatest bit of world building we get in the pilots has to be the long before time monologue. This monologue perfectly sets up what the entire show is going to be. First off, we learn about the weapons in Spinjitzu and the power they possess as they literally created Ninjago. These weapons then become a big part of the rest of the pilots. We also learn about the balance between good and evil that Wu's trying to maintain, and ultimately the balance that the ninja try to maintain for the rest of the show. Later on, we also get introduced to the elemental powers as the four ninja become the protectors of the four golden weapons. In general, this concept of ninja with elemental powers is just so interesting and has inspired over 15 seasons of content. Another reason that the world building in the pilots is so good is that we're given enough information to understand the events that are happening, but the pilots don't reveal all the information. Like, where do the dragons come from? Are there other realms out there? We're given just enough information, but not too much, which builds intrigue and brings people back to the show. This also paves the way for future seasons like season 5 or season 9 to elaborate on some of the gaps left in the pilots. Also, the idea to have multiple worlds, or realms as they're called later on, was absolutely genius and is just much more interesting as it gives you the idea that there's much more out there that the ninja have yet to explore, which again brings people back to the franchise. Overall, this is a world that many people got invested in, and I doubt the show would have been as successful as it is today without the world building that the pilots gave. Overall, these aren't some of the best Ninjago episodes, but I think they paved the way for future Ninjago seasons to be as good as they are, and I don't think Ninjago could have asked for better pilot episodes.